For the Unit 3 Part 2 review, for number 1, you have to put your equation in point-slope form. So we would look up here at the chart, and we have point-slope form up here. In your chart, you would want to label the 3 as x1 and the 11.25 as y1. Then we look for our two numbers in the toppings that are consecutive. So 3 and 4 are consecutive, which means then I subtract these two numbers in my cost. So I take 12.75 minus 11.25. And that gives us 1.5, which is slope. So now I have x1, y1, and my m, and I could plug it into this formula up here and get y minus 11.25 equals the slope I found, which was 1.5 or 1.50, and then x minus my x1, which is 3. And if we compare that to the multiple choice, it would be letter B. Okay, so now for the next section, 2 through 4, you have to use this graph to answer all the questions. So off to the side down here, there were 3 things we found when we did this in class. We found our slope, our y-intercept, and the point either to the furthest right or on the y-axis. So this point happens to fit both of those categories, which is 0, 3. So my slope goes up 3 and over 4. My B is where does the line cross the y, and that crosses at 3. And then we already listed the point, x1, y1. So to figure out the equation of this line in PSF, or point slope form, we need the slope and the point. And so again, I could go to the very top of the paper and use this formula to guide me through the problem. So y minus y1 would be 3. And then we have our slope, 3/4. And then x minus x1, which is 0. So then I would just compare that answer to the answers down here. So it looks like C is my correct answer. Okay. We can see here they use a negative 3/4 to try to trick us, even though the numbers are correct here. We have to have a positive slope. Then for number 3, for SIF, we're going to use our slope and our y-intercept. So this one simply would be y equals my slope, which is 3/4 x, plus my b, and my b is 3. So again, I just find that one down here, and that would be A. But then to go from number 3 to number 4, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So for number 3, I use the answer from number 3 to help with number 4. So my denominator is a 4. I want to clear that 4 out, so I multiply everything by 4. So I have 4 times y, 4y. Here the 4's cancel, which is the whole point of this. So I have 3x left. And then 4 times 3 is 12. So now, to get the x and the y together, I have to move the x over here. So I subtract the 3, and I say, okay, negative 3x plus 4y, it can't be those, okay, it can't be that one, equals 12, so it's B. So for the front, we should have B, C, A, B. B, C, A, B. Now, on the next page, on the first 4 questions, they're asking for equations for vertical and horizontal lines. You do have to look very carefully at the graph to find that line. And you can see there are arrows right here on this line. So I want to know what is the equation of that line? So it goes through the x-axis. If this is your 0, your origin, I would count over -1, -2, -3. So this would be x equals -3. In number 6, our line is below the y-axis. I'm sorry, below the x-axis, so it's right here. And it's crossing the y. Here's your origin, your center. So it's down -1. Okay, so now when we did these in class, and we practiced these in homework assignments and in classwork and in warm-ups, I would always do number 8 before I do number 7. Because we had talked about, we make the v an x, which means you're finding the x value. And that's a -3. So we just say simply x equals -3 when we're talking about vertical lines. So if vertical is going through the x, that means on number 7, the horizontal line would be going through the y value. So this would just be y equals 2. Okay? I highly suggest that you are going to have to memorize that vertical goes with x, horizontal goes with y. Okay, the next section, as you can see in the directions, has to do with slope-intercept form. I also gave you the equation over here in the corner, and it's also on the front of the test. I just think this might help you a little bit instead of having to flip back and forth. It's the same way on the exam as well. So for number 9, our slope is 3, which is m. Our y-intercept is b, which is -4. Can you plug m and b into the equation to make SIF? So y equals 3x minus 4. 10, same way. M is 1/2, b is 9. Plug m and b into the equation, and we get y equals 1/2 x plus 9. Okay, for number 11, we are not given the m and the b, but we have to find that. So, I list those to the side. And for m, how much do we go up and over? So 3/2. For b, where does it cross the y? That would be at 3. So now that you have m and b, you can definitely make an equation using y equals mx plus b. So I just plugged them into m and b. 12 is the same thing. It's just that you have a negative slope because your line is falling from left to right. So for 12, m is down 2, which is a -2, and over 1. And -2 over 1 equals -2. The line crosses the y-axis at 2. So we will have y equals a -2x plus 2.